Hey Hannah, thanks for joining us today. Today I have
Hey,
Hannah
Jess.
Berson. Today I have Hannah Berson, and she's going to be talking to us about her earliest math moments as a child. And the reason why I'm doing this, why I started this effort, was because when I was teaching, I found that so many children and parents had different types of math moments. Some were positive, some were negative, and they had such a huge influence on the things that they decided to do later on as far as hobbies and careers go. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk to different adults about what their math moments were and how they influenced them in their decisions. So I'll let you take it from here.
Sure. Well, I'm smiling because my maths, as we used to call it in South Africa, my memories are mostly positive. Um, I was in a school with teachers who initially through elementary school taught all subjects, and then later on in high school there was differentiation. And I was fortunate to have high quality teachers all the way through. I recognize now that I have my own children, that isn't necessarily a given. But all the way through school and high school, I not only had good instruction, but I actually enjoyed math. I was good at it. It flowed for me. I enjoyed the puzzle aspect of it as we got more and more into algebra. And so it was definitely something that I wasn't afraid of and something that was going to factor into career decisions for me. I ended up at university doing economics and business administration, and it was a very math heavy program. And again, it was one of the areas where I had an affinity and I could roll with it and work with it. And as I've moved through my career, I spent some time in financial services and banking. There was plenty of math there. Again, enjoyed it and felt comfortable. And actually, as I moved through all my now in management consulting, while I'm not as focused on the actual math, just understanding it and not being afraid of it is something that I feel fortunate about.
Sure. Sure. Is there a teacher? Is there a teacher that you remember that really sticks out?
Yeah, I do actually. I think mostly about my high school teacher. Her name was Mrs. Dubb, and she was very structured in the way she taught. She was quite proper in her demeanor, and the fact that she was sort of no nonsense about it was helpful to me because we came into math class and that was all that it was about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she understood what each child could do. She gave some of us extra work when it was warranted, but there was a certain zone that she created around math. And, I was a serious student and it was a place where I still remember the pleasure of doing 2 or 3 pages of math and finding out what x equals. So she was also very clear in how she shared the concepts and helped us understand them. So I think the no nonsense element of her was actually helpful.
So how do you think this has influenced you as far as what you're now giving to your children?
Well, it's interesting because it's influenced me in a way that maybe isn't that helpful. And that is because math was not difficult for me. And fortunately for both of my children, it doesn't seem to be a major challenge area for them. But I don't necessarily think about or appreciate what it's taking for them to understand the concepts. It's actually my husband who sits down with the kids more to go through the math because for me it was just such a natural thing. So I think it's a little counterintuitive that I actually don't spend time going through math with them because when it's easy for you, you think it's easy for everybody.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Is there something that you would, if there's one thing that you could tell young parents, like parents with children in preschool, what what would you say to them now that you have, all these years of experience and insight?
Um, I think I would say just generally, and I'm sure that they would do this instinctively anyway, is, to look out for the rough patches for your kids across the full range of their experience. So sometimes you worry more about them socially, or you worry more about them from a sports perspective. But I think we have to have holistic senses of how our kids are doing and be ready, even if it's not us personally, to dive in. So for example, for my son, he was struggling with writing, actually. He wasn't struggling with math. And we did end up getting a tutor for him, and it didn't take long for him to get back on track. And he was, far more confident once he was there. So I think it's staying connected to what they're doing, and not just the content, but how they feel they're managing with it. And then if it's not your area of expertise, to find somebody or some way to help them build that capability.
Yeah, and that connection. I know that, one of the reasons why I started Page A Day Math was because I felt like that, exactly what you're talking about, like that connection, that good feeling that you get when you're doing something that you like is so important and influences everything.
Right.
So if we can instill that really early on, kids will have an easier time with whatever it is that they're learning, whether it's reading or math or science or whatever it is.
And I think just having this perspective that, if they need a little bit of a lift, then our role as parents is to go and find it. And, similarly, if they're doing well and they're bored and they need a little bit more, we need to go and find stuff for that too.
Sure.
But I think it's important, when you're in that mindset of supplementing your kids, that you don't view it as if they're failing. You just view it as, who knows what in the alchemy is not working. Here's something to put into the mix that might help that child.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great way of looking at it. So, well, thank you so much for your insight and for your stories. They're really nice to hear, and I'm sure that anybody who hears them will be able to get something out of them. And just want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So anyway, well, have a great day, have a great weekend, and thanks again, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah. Bye-bye.
Go Math.
Go Math, go. Bye.
Bye.